contribution and an emotional contribution from the honourable gentleman. I want to speak about the reasons why Scotland is stronger when we pool and share our resources as a united kingdom. But let me start by outlining what I believe are the three main elements of the debate in the streets of Scotland. First, it's about the things that we know will change. The second is the things that wouldn't change. And the third are the issues that would require a negotiation. And what has become apparent is that there is a nationalist plan to move as many items as possible from the negotiation box into the box of things that wouldn't change. The pound, membership of the European Union and membership of NATO, to name just three. And it's pretty clear that the motivation for that move is to create an atmosphere where the people of Scotland feel that separation isn't a risk. I hope that the Yes campaign changes their strategy and tactics, because a victory based on a deceit will be no victory at all. We also know that many people have stepped into the issue to make their views known, most notably recently the Governor of the Bank of England. I hope that people continue to do so without fear and make positive contributions to the argument on both sides. But I must place on record my concern that the apparatus of the state, Mr Deputy Speaker, is being abused by those in power. The White Paper, which I have here, you'll be delighted to know this isn't my speech. The White Paper was billed as a document that would answer all the questions on independence, and it doesn't. Sir Peter Housden, the Permanent Secretary of the Scottish Government, must explain why taxpayers' money was used to create and issue this document. And the Secretary of State, the Cabinet Office and the Head of the Civil Service should explain why they've maintained their silence while the impartiality of the Civil Service has been compromised. And let me give you just two examples. On page 37 it states, "The Scottish Parliament and the Scottish Government in Edinburgh are responsible for a range of devolved matters," and it goes on to list them. Then it says, "The Westminster Government, currently a coalition of Conservative and Liberal Democratic parties, and the Westminster Parliament have reserved rights," and then it goes on to name those rights. What do you take from those two statements, Mr Deputy Speaker? It doesn't mention the United Kingdom Parliament, and it refers to a Westminster Parliament and a Westminster Government that do not exist. It's factually incorrect. So why did civil servants allow this document to be released and be published at the taxpayers' expense? And, Mr Deputy Speaker, it doesn't end there. Each page is filled with similar partisan comments which belies the Scottish Government's position that this document was determined or designed to illuminate. And there is one example that really makes my blood boil. An honourable member behind me mentioned it a few moments ago. On page 3, it states, under gains from independence, abolition of the bedroom tax, which will save 82,500 households in Scotland, including 63,500 households with a disabled adult and 15,500 households with children, an average of £50 per month. What can be more despicable? What can be more despicable, Mr Deputy Speaker, and reprehensible about people preying on the fears and the concerns of the most vulnerable and the people in Scotland? That statement and SNP ministers' words on the issue were designed to create the impression that the Scottish Parliament could not remove the council tax without independence. And this week, by their own actions, they have confirmed that it's a deceit. I'll give way to the honourable gentleman.
I think my honourable friend is making a very, very powerful speech, not just dissecting the White Paper for what it is, an act of fiction, but also saying that the powers that the Scottish Government currently have can be used. Do you think the people of Scotland will be asking very, very seriously questions of the SNP Government while they've waited over 12 months to abolish the bedroom tax in Scotland?
I absolutely agree with that statement from the honourable gentleman, and there's many, many more examples. Each page of that document is filled with similar deceit, and it's not fair that the people of Scotland, when they should be relying on informative documents from the Scottish Government to inform the decision that they will have to take on the 18th of September. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, Scotland is part of the most successful political and economic union that the world has ever seen, mentioned by other honourable members. If people vote no...
I'm grateful for the member for giving way. It's also the case, isn't it, that the UK hasn't been invaded by a foreign body for over 750 years. Surely that in itself demonstrates just how successful the union has been.
That was before the union.
I'll defer to the honourable gentleman in the amount of time, given that he was probably there for most of it. But I think he is absolutely correct. But, Mr Deputy Speaker, if people vote no in the referendum, they can wake up on the 19th of September knowing that they will keep the pound, knowing that we will remain members of NATO through the United Kingdom, knowing that we will retain our European Union membership, and they'll know that brave men and women, a lot of them Scots, are looking after our national security and much, much more. They'll know that these are not matters that will be subject to a negotiation. But there's one other crucial thing. The United Kingdom is successful because we pool and share our resources. Money earned in more prosperous parts of the United Kingdom can be shared with areas that have less resources, and history tells us areas of wealth are not always fixed. But the size, depth and sheer diversity of the United Kingdom means that we'll always have the sources of wealth for redistribution, even when certain natural resources cease to exist. And that our ability to pool and share our resources, coupled with the certainty of currency and international agreements which we're party to, insulates us as a United Kingdom in ways which smaller nations cannot possibly compete with. But there is a human element too, Mr Deputy Speaker. I was a trade union official elected in full time for 26 years of my career, and I've worked with colleagues and friends across the whole of the United Kingdom. Walking down a street in London, Darlington, Cardiff or Belfast is, apart from the accent, no different from walking down the streets of Glasgow, because people have got the same problems. We share much more than currency and membership of international agreements. We share a history, and we share the same hopes and aspirations for future generations. Last night, Mr Deputy Speaker, there was an addition to the McCann family. My niece Maria had an £8 4-ounce baby boy in Wishaw General Hospital. You'll be delighted to know that mother and child are doing well. I hope that child gets the same chance to grow up in the United Kingdom as I have.
Sir Gerald Howard.
Mr Speaker, I am delighted to